Do you want to know my cheat code to reaching Icon with EXP Realty every single year? My record time was actually 2 months. I will show you in this video step by step on how you can reach Icon and make that $16,000, be it 100% commission every single year by working with the renters. But even if you're not with EXP, this training will show you how to make at least $100,000 per year as a brand new agent in a brand new state with no network and no experience whatsoever, because that's what I did. And now I'm making over $500,000 a year. My name's Andy Coleman. I'm with EXP Realty. I'm a 4-time Icon agent, soon to be 5th. I was ranked number 2 in the world. I've made over $2.5 million in commission. I've closed over 900 deals, and I've helped over 400 agents do this. I want to start off by telling you why rentals are so important and why agents are looking down on them, which is a huge mistake. Then I'm going to teach you the 5 ways on how you can make millions of dollars off of the renters. There's 2 ways to get rental leads, 1 way to get landlord leads, and 2 ways to turn renters into buyers. Then I'm going to show you how I closed 30 deals a month. Okay, let's jump right in. Iconing for EXP Realty is pretty interesting because you have to do 20 deals after you cap. And I've done it the last 4 years in a row. I'm like 5 seconds away from doing it again for the 5th time while doing rental deals, which is the easiest thing in the world. I think it was either last year or the year before. I iconed in about 2 months. You could be closing 10, 20, 30 deals a month just like I did for years now, because obviously you have to look at the housing market. If we're in, a market where people aren't buying and selling, then what are they doing? I mean, clearly they're renting. So if people are renting and you're a realtor, why are you not focusing on the renters? Like, think about it from a logical perspective, right? Do the math. It's all statistic based. If you calculate how many buyers and sellers there were last year, it was 4 million. You can Google it. Anybody can look this up. Then go and look up how many renters were there. 45 million. There's a 10-to-1 ratio of renters to buyers. Everybody thinks, oh, renters, why the hell would I waste my time working with a renter when I can work with a buyer? You can't work with a buyer. You can't work with a seller. That's why 71% of agents closed 0 deals last year. That's the issue right now. So I'm going to teach you how to work with the renters and how I make $50,000 every single month. And I have for the last 4 years straight in a row. That means every single 30 days for the last, like 48 months in a row, I've made over $50,000 by working with rentals. So, if you're sitting here in your head thinking, oh, renters, why would I bother doing that? I only make a few $100. Completely wrong. I will show you how I make $2,000 average per renter. I don't care where you are. You could be anywhere in the entire world right now. You can still make a lot of money for the renters. Even if the average commission is, let's say, $300 if you bring a tenant to a listing agent, right? And the landlord's only paying $300, the listing agent's only paying $300. Doesn't matter. I can still get that average up to about $1,500 because there's 3 different methods on how to generate rental leads, right? And doing this, like I said, if you're with EXP Realty, you can literally icon every single year. I just taught a few agents in EXP how to do this. I think I'm on my 4th agent that's either capped or iconed. And I just started teaching agents like a year ago. And 4 of them have already capped or iconed by doing rentals. I got agents just coming to me now that are just, doing regular production with the buyers and sellers and just want to do those extra 20 deals. Because remember how I said before, you have to do 20 deals after capping? I'm telling you right now, it's almost impossible. Unless you have a massive team, it's almost impossible to reach Icon after capping because you have to do it in 1 calendar year. And, if anybody's not familiar with Icon, you basically do $80,000 in commission, so you pay EXP $16,000, then they'll give that back to you. So that $16,000 will come right back to you in stock, which I believe in the company. We have amazing leadership, so I think the stock's going to keep going up over time once the market rebounds. Obviously, we're in a housing market correction right now, or a crash, whatever you want to call it. So getting that $16,000 in stock is really valuable because you can then obviously turn that into $100,000. Let's say the stock 5X's in, the next 5 years. That stock from 16 grand times 5, that's like what, $80,000? Keep doing that every single year. And obviously also you're at 100% commission. That's the whole beauty and benefit behind Icon. Who the heck doesn't want to make 100% commission? A cool little funny thing. I think EXP actually either breaks even or loses money on Icon agents. So it's not that they don't want you to do it, because they do. Obviously they want you to succeed and they want you to do well. It's just very difficult because you have to do those 20 deals after capping in 1 calendar year. So whenever you joined, let's say it's October 1st. You have to do it from October 1st, 2025 or whatever, 2024 to 2025. That's the time allotment that you have. So try doing 20 sellers or buyers in that time frame. It's incredibly difficult, but you can easily do 20 rentals in a month, 2 months, like if you're super slow with it, 3 months, right? You could do 20 rentals in 3 months like that. Not a problem at all. One of the easiest things imaginable because you're doing volume. I get 100 leads every single day. So I'm going to show you how I get leads. I'm going to show you how I convert the leads into clients. I'm going to show you how I make that, $1,500, $2,000 per deal. It's actually a little bit more, but we're talking averages here because think about it, right? If you make 500 on one deal and you make 3,000 on another deal, add them up, divide by 2, you got your average, which is what, like 1,800, 2,000, something like that. That's what I'm talking about because you're doing bulk volume. And then you turn renters into buyers. I will show you how to turn a renter into a buyer every single month. Literally, right now. You don't have to wait 2 years or 3 years or whatever. Your renters turn into buyers today. And then there is another method that made me a millionaire because I made $2.5 million in commission in the last 5 years by working with renters and turning renters into buyers. But 30% of your closed renters will turn into buyers in the future. So 2 different methods on actually getting buyers out of it. I guarantee you, if you're not closing at least 1 buyer a month right now, if you did this rental strategy, you would close 1 buyer. And guess what? You would do no marketing, no advertising. You wouldn't sit open houses. You wouldn't call FSBOs. You won't do door knocking or mailers or the Burr method. None of that garbage that used to work back in 2020 doesn't work in 2025. That's the whole aspect behind why rentals are so powerful. I'm telling you, I've taught like 400 agents how to do this across the entire country. This works anywhere. I don't care if you're in Orlando, Florida. I don't care if you're in Miami, Florida. It doesn't matter where the heck you are. This works. I'll give you examples, right? Like Dallas, Texas, for example, they make about 30% to half a month's rent commission. South Florida, same thing. Miami, Palm Beach area, half a month's rent commission, give or take. But if you travel 2 hours up north to Orlando, they're only making like $300, $400, $500 a deal. I'm going to show you a little cheat code how to get that up to $800 in a second. And then like same thing for Texas, right? If you travel 3-4 hours south to San Antonio, same thing. They're making like $300, $400, $500 a deal. But you can easily make an extra $300 by charging a transaction fee. Nobody thinks about this. You do it for your buyers, you do it for your sellers, but why not the renters, right? If you make a $500 commission check from the listing agent, you charge your tenant a $300, $400, $500 transaction fee, which just tacks onto your commission. Now you just made $1,000 off of a rental when you thought it was a complete waste of your time because you're only getting paid a few $100. Do 10 of those in a month, that $1,000 or $800 or $700 turned into $7,000 to $10,000 every single month. And this is scalable. This will literally scale over time. I swear to God, that's how it worked for me, right? My first year of real estate, I made about $80,000, closed 50 deals. 6 of those were buyers. And guess what? I had just moved to Florida. I was a brand new agent, no network, no sphere of influence. I probably had like 3 contacts in my phone number. I made a massive database. And like I said, I turned 6 renters into buyers my first year of real estate, right? So you don't have to wait. This is not like a lag business. I just heard some YouTube video the other day. I can't remember the agent's name. One of these big, content creators, social media, experts or whatever on real estate. And he was like, oh yeah, you have to wait 90 days, 5 months, 6 months to close your first deal if you're a new agent. And I'm like, what the heck is he talking about? He was interviewing some Giacomo, and he said the exact same thing. It was like, yeah, if an agent expects to make money in their first month, they're not in the right business. And I'm like, well, what the heck business are you in? Because I've been making money since day one. Ever since I started working with renters, I've been making money day one, and that was during a global pandemic. Imagine what you can do right now in 2025 when it's the strongest rental market of all time. Right? Go and look it up. Go look at any graph. This is literally the strongest rental market and the worst buyer and seller market. Worse than 2008. Worse than 2008. I 100% guarantee you we have less pending home sales right now in 2008. So as an agent, the odds are stacked against you unless you're working with renters. Then the odds are stacked for you, right? And plus, all the referrals you get. I get a referral almost every other day. I'm getting a referral. I've closed over 900 deals. I get a referral constantly. So they could buy with me, they can rent with me, they could sell with me. Sky's the limit, right? So let me show you actually how to do this, or I'm going to tell you how to do this right now because there's 5 different methods on how to make money by working with renters. I've literally systematized this to, the down to the last dollar and the amount of deals and time it takes to close a deal, because you should only be spending about 2 hours per deal. Like I said, you should be averaging around $1,500, $2,000 per deal. When all said and done, no matter where you are, you're going to turn a renter into a buyer every month and 30% in the future, right? So first method on how to icon, or, how to make $100,000, let's call it this, right? How to make $100,000 in real estate, because that's what the icon program with EXP Realty is. It's how to make $100,000 essentially. So I'm going to tell you how to do it right now. The first method in my rental system is you have to do MLS properties, right? So basically your single families, your townhomes, your duplexes, your villas, condos, because that's different than apartment complexes, which is the second strategy, which I'll get into. Not even joking, that's the easiest money you'll ever make in your life. No joke. Like, all you have to do is a showing and you get paid within 30 days. I'll get there in a second. MLS strategy. That is basically where you take any broker advertised listing. If you're in, Florida, or if you're in another place, you can do what's called listing permission, right? You basically get permission from the listing agent to advertise their rental listing on various different, places out there. I'm going to give you a really good and free example, because I was generating 200 free leads a day with this system on Facebook Marketplace, right? We're not talking like Facebook Original. We're talking about Facebook Marketplace. And guess what? It's free to put a house listing up there. So this doesn't really work for buyers, unfortunately, or sellers, but it does work incredibly well for renters, like incredibly well. I just said 200 free leads every single day. There's a lot of advanced ways on how to do this, but that's the most basic and simple way to do it. So you get permission to advertise a rental listing. Make sure it's a good one. And then you put it up on Facebook Marketplace, right? Just copy all the pertinent details, and then when you post it, you're going to have tenant leads reaching out to you wanting to see that particular property, right? So let's say it's 123 Main Street. You might have 20 people in one day reach out to you to see that one particular property. Now, all you have to do from here is show the property. That's it. All you do, set up the showing, show the property, and there is some advanced methods on how to do this. I honestly do not recommend this to anybody that's not like an expert and already closing like 5 to 10 deals a month already. But you can put a pre-offer in, right? So if you're really, really good, you can get them set up in your MLS, and you can put in a pre-offer, which is basically a credit background eviction report, rental application, proof of income, and driver's license, right? Just see how this rolls off my tongue. When you can speak like this, then you're ready for that, right? When it's just like muscle memory, or memory, however you want to call that, right? Once you could do that, then you're ready to do like a pre-offer to make sure that the tenant gets accepted before you waste your time showing a property. Now, before you're an expert at it, it's fine to waste your time. I've wasted tons of hours. And guess what? Like I said before, I still made 80 grand and closed 50 deals, 6 buyers, 44 rentals in my first year of real estate. But my second year, when I got really good, right, when I really started to learn things, I closed about 150, 160 deals, again, like 10 buyers. I made $250,000 as a brand new agent, 1 year in the business during a global pandemic, working with renters, right? But it got even better than that. In my third year, no joke, I closed 250 deals. I became the number 3 ranked agent in the world with EXP Realty. 2 years into the business, I made $510,000. Like, hello. Obviously, I iconed that year. I iconed the year before that too. Those are my first 2 years of icon. And this was back in 2020, 21, 22, right? I basically made almost $1 million in my first 3 years of real estate. And guess what my overhead was? Almost nothing. Almost nothing. Like I said, I was doing this for free on Facebook Marketplace, wasn't spending a penny, right? Wow, in my third year, I did a little bit more advanced strategies, which I'll talk about in a little bit, to get the commission up a little bit higher and to get the volume in a little bit more and to get the quality up a little bit higher as well. So there is other strategies on how to do this, but either way, right? Think about it. If I closed 250 deals in 1 year as a solo agent with no TC, no VA, no transaction coordinators, I think I said that twice, then you can do the same thing as well. Because if I can do it, why can't somebody else do it, right? And it's an easier market right now because more people are renting now than ever before, and we don't have like 50 offer situations. I'm not even joking. Back in 2022, I had situations where agents were getting 30 offers for a rental. You all probably remember it with buyers and sellers. You don't remember it with renters, right? 30 offers for one rental, and I still did 250 deals that year. I'm still doing this today. That's how I'm so confident that this works today, because I still do deals. I literally, if I showed you my phone right now, I have like 30 offers to put in today for 5 5 different clients. I'm still doing deals, even though I have a team of 10 agents. That's the cool part about this. You can have a team of agents that are helping you out. You could do this yourself. You could do both. Like, sky's the limit. You can get on social media. You can start recruiting agents like for RevShare. Like, there's so many options out there that I think 5 years ago when I got into real estate and started working with renters that I'd be speaking in front of stages and have a whole like training coaching program. I didn't think I would have that, right? Within 5 years, a team of agents, like I didn't think that was going to happen. So like you never know where this is going to take you, but all you have to do is start making money and closing deals and helping families out. If you start doing that, the whole world opens up to you. That's why I really like the whole rental system that I created. And that's why I never stopped. Like I could have went to a different method and work with buyers and sellers. Obviously I could have done that, but I chose not to because it was working, right? You've heard the saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And there was nothing to fix. I just needed to get better at it. That's why I perfected it over a few years, you know? So instead of like, oh, let me get greedy and try to get 15,000 a deal or 20,000 a deal, I said, no, I like making $2,000 a pop. And I can close 20 to 30 of these a month. Literally, my best month ever, I closed 30 deals in 30 days. I'm not joking. It was the best month I've ever had. And I'm not going to sugarcoat this. I was working 16 hours a day, all 30 days of that month. Like it was not a joke, right? That was like I was waking up at 7 o'clock in the morning. I was going to bed at 2 o'clock at night. Like I was working around the clock. I was skipping lunch, no breakfast, you know, but it worked. And I did it by myself. I did it because I wanted to prove that it's possible, that you could do a deal every single day by yourself with no help. I didn't have a showing agent even. Like I literally did everything myself because I had my systems dialed in. But it took me years to get to that point, right? So let me tell you this. We were talking about how to generate Facebook leads on Facebook Marketplace for free to basically get, 10 leads a day, 50 leads a day, 100, 200 leads a day. Honestly, sky's the limit. And once you get these leads flowing in, okay, you're going to go, like I said before, show them the property, then advanced strategy is pre-offer. Once you show the property, all you have to do is you basically just, well, if the full package is already done, if it's not, collect the proof of income, the rental application, you could use like Rentspree, or you can actually do something really cool. If they don't have pay stubs, you can do like bank statements, tax returns, offer letters. You can get really creative with this, right? And then just write up a quick little contract to lease, put it into the listing agent, and then just negotiate. Make sure you get them accepted. There are some really cool things about doing a lot of deals with the same listing agent because they'll take your deal over other deals because they want to work with you, and then they'll tell their landlords that, hey, this is a trustworthy agent, and if they're bringing me a good tenant, let's take their deal over somebody else. So that's why this also scales and stacks over time, because you're going to get better, you're going to make more connections, you're going to learn what you're doing, you're going to have more leads coming in, more people are going to reach back out to you, you're going to get repeat business in the future, right? You're going to get referrals coming in, and obviously the whole benefit is closing deals. If you can close 10 of these a month, I don't care what your commission is, even if it's $500 and you charge a $300 transaction fee and you make $800, you're making $8,000 in a month. And then if you convince one of these renters to buy a house instead of rent every month, that's another $10,000 to $15,000. Like, hello, 10 to 15 grand plus 8,000. What is that? Like $20,000, $23,000 that you're going to make in a month. Do the math on that. Multiply that by 12. I don't have a calculator right now, but I think that's about $250,000 that you're going to make in 1 year, all when you thought it's not worth my time. It's just a $300, $400 commission check. It is worth your time. If you do it the right way and practice volume, this is worth your time. I'm telling you, it's the only way to really make any real money in real estate quickly right now. There is no other strategy. I challenge anybody to find me a better strategy where you can build a massive network. I'll put it this way, right? I have 150,000 people in my leads database. I have a whole Excel spreadsheet of 150,000 people in 5 years, okay? I challenge you. How else can you do that? And I've spoken to every single one of them, right? I didn't work with all of them, no, but I've spoken to them. I've at least sent some kind of communication to every single one of them over 5 years because I can easily handle 100 to 200 leads a day. I created a whole entire system to handle that kind of volume without a CRM, right? I'm literally doing it by hand. And it takes me like 20, 30 minutes a day. I have a whole clipboard and like template system down and a whole assembly line system that I created. It's really cool, really fast, really efficient. So, if you're falling behind, because anybody could try this right now, post a listing on Facebook Marketplace and get a lead coming in and then convert that lead to a client, show them a property, right? Anybody can do this. But if you're wondering why it's taking you let's say 10 hours, of work to do one rental and you're doing 10 showings, it's because you don't have your systems down, right? Like I said, I'm only spending 1, 2, maybe 3 hours on a tenant. I've actually recorded this and I've done a live deal start to finish and timed the whole thing. It's like a couple hours of work. Honestly, it is. And I think on that particular deal, his name was Ted. I made like $2,500 or something like that for 2 hours of work. I literally made $1,250 an hour. Like, you can't beat that unless you go to school for 10 years to become a doctor. I don't even think they make that much unless you're like an open heart surgeon, right? You can't even make that much. Anybody can do this, like I said. So once you get the offer put in, once the showing's done, all you do is a lease agreement. Typically, the listing agent's going to do the lease agreement. They're going to send it back to you. You're going to review it with your client. You're going to make sure it gets signed and everything. Then you're going to send it back to the listing agent. Then, this is extremely important. Do not mess this next step up. You have to collect 1 month's rent in escrow. Do not make this mistake of not collecting that 1 month's rent in escrow. Don't do any weird commingling or anything like that. Nothing illegal. Make sure a title company holds it, or your brokerage, or worst case scenario, the landlord. Somebody will hold that. Then, if there's an HOA application, just make sure it gets done in a timely manner, right? If there's not, great. You've just avoided that little, headache. But those are pretty easy to actually get around. Then you just wait until the final walkthrough. That's all you have to do. Once you go to the final walkthrough, the tenant is going to bring typically last and security. There's some other cool little ways to get offers accepted with a little bit more money up front. Little cool tricks like that. But first is the deposit, first month's rent deposit. Last and security is typically brought at the walkthrough, where they'll exchange that for the keys. And then typically you'll get your commission check right then and there. Like I said, if you're in an area where you're getting half a month's rent commission, and you can negotiate this because of the NAR settlement, actually, which had nothing to do with renters, I don't have to get a tenant broker agreement signed. Now listen, this might be a different policy wherever you are. On a federal level, until they change this, which they have not, as of, what's today, June 4th, 2025, they have not changed this yet. Federally, you do not need a tenant broker agreement signed. You need a buyer broker agreement signed, but not for renters yet, right? So think about it, right? If your MLS or your local brokerage or whatever has a state policy, then yeah, you might have to abide by it, right? Obviously, but federally, you do not need a tenant broker agreement, so it did not have any effect on tenants whatsoever. So just keep that in the back of your head, okay? And I have some really cool methods on doing that, anyways. If you have a policy in place where it's literally irrelevant, does not matter. Once you actually go and you get the property under contract and you're doing the final walkthrough and you're getting that, half a month's rent commission, or that $300 commission check, or $500 plus the transaction fee of $300, you are done. That is literally it. That's all you have to do for that deal. And that should only take 1 or 2 hours. Like I said, maybe 3 max. And you should only be doing anywhere from 0 to 3 showings. Really, honestly, there's if you're really new to this, you know what I mean? That's okay to do like 4 or 5 showings. Nothing ever beyond that, right? You're doing something catastrophically wrong if you do more than 5 rental showings. Buyers, obviously, it's a different story. You might show 10 or 15 or 20 properties, that's a different story. I did work that down a little bit to a little bit less, but that's for another, video. And essentially what you want to do is you want to repeat this. You want to rinse and repeat this, right? Because think about it. If you're working with one client at a time and you're making $800, you're not going to make a lot of money, right? That's why this works so well. I was handling like 50 to 75 clients at once. Literally, I would have a whole list of like 50, 60, 70 clients that I was working with every single day. Obviously I wasn't communicating with all of them every single day, but the majority of them, because I have a very robust follow-up system that I do manually. But once the deal is closed, then that's where the 30% of your renters that turn into buyers comes into play, because you're going to want to create a 369 system. That's what I call it. It's like weekly email, 369, the touch points with the phone calls, and then obviously a social media strategy. Because if you're not doing that, you're missing out big time if you're not commenting on, their stuff, which is a very cool tactic to stay top of mind. So doing a combination of all of those, literally 30% of your renters should turn into buyers if done correctly. And think about it. If you do, let's say, 200 rentals over the next, 2 years, which is child's play. That's like less than 10 a month. It's easy, right? Remember, I was doing 30 a month. You could at least do a third of what I was doing, right? Especially if you learn directly from me, I can get you up there in a month. No joke. I've had agents do 14 deals in their first 30 days from working with me. Not even exaggerating whatsoever. And you can go on my YouTube channel and you can check it out. I have multiple interviews with dozens of the agents I've taught. So once you actually get 30% of your closed renters to turn into buyers, think about it. 200 times 30%, that's 60 buyers every single year. Because that cycles every year, right? Because you're not going to stop doing rentals. You could have rental agents that are doing your rentals, and you can turn into a buyer's agent at that point. Think about this from a mathematical perspective, right? 60 buyers times what's the average commission? Like $12,000 these days. That's like what? $800,000 in commission that you're going to make in 1 year. And that can happen within 2 years from now. Within 2 years from now, you could easily be making $800,000 per year, no matter where you are. Doesn't matter. Irrelevant, because guess what? Even if the rental commission pays a little bit lower, the buyers don't. That's what you got to think about, right? I make about $500,000 a year. Well, maybe a little bit more now, $600-700. But I was making about $500,000 as a solo agent, and guess what? Because I was making around $1,500 to $2,000 average commission per deal. Because I'm going to show you how to get that up in a second with apartment strategy and landlord strategy. But if you actually get some of these renters to turn into buyers, that initial rental commission becomes irrelevant. Maybe you can't make $500,000 a year off of the rentals right now, but guess what? Like I said before, you can make $250,000. You can. You absolutely can, especially if you do my next two strategies, right? Apartment locating, which is the easiest money, I'm going to repeat this, that you'll ever make in your life, because all you have to do, I'm gonna break this down real quick, right? All you have to do is take them to the property and you get paid. But let me logistically break this down really quick, right? So you're gonna want to go to apartments.com, right? The first strategy is your MLS, properties. It's a little bit different. Listing agents, for permission. Now, apartment complexes, that's when you go to apartments.com or a site like that and you ask for permission to advertise an apartment complex. Once you advertise an apartment complex, there's two different methods on how to do this. You can do it like I was talking about before for the MLS strategy, about putting it on Facebook Marketplace, which is super cool, super easy, free. You get a lot of leads coming in, or you could do a more advanced method, which is reels, right? You can make a reel and you can put it up on Instagram. Now, this is, like I said, a lot more in depth. You have to work a lot harder for this. You have to actually go and film it. You have to know what to do. You have to know how to position yourself. You have to know where to put the text. I mean, it's a lot more work for that, and I don't recommend any newer agents do that. I think sticking to Facebook Marketplace as a brand new agent is a little bit easier, and then maybe in like a month or so you can actually graduate and in addition also do it on Instagram for reels, right? But once you do that, you're going to get leads flooding in. If you're on IG, you're going to get DMs, you're going to get phone calls, and you're going to get Google lead forms filled out. If you're on Facebook Marketplace, you're going to get messages from Facebook Messenger, or potentially phone calls as well, or potentially emails, depending on what you put in there. And then what you want to do is convince that tenant to go and see that property. That's really all you're doing for this. Just make sure you don't expose the property, okay? And then once you go and show that property, when you're there, there's going to be like a leasing agent, and they usually pay like a referral fee, to a real estate agent. So you got to call them up in advance and figure this out on what they pay. Some of them pay $500, some pay $1,000, some pay $2,000, some pay 1 month's rent. So if the unit, 2-bedroom or whatever, is like $3,000, yeah, they'll pay you $3,000 for bringing the tenant, especially if it's a brand new luxury apartment complex that needs to get their occupancy rate up higher. Oh, heck yes, they're paying agents. So all you need to do is find a couple good ones. That's all you need. And if you go on apartments.com, if you search locally, I'm sure you have thousands of them, right? So now, once you go and show the property, make sure you're an expert, okay? You want to know the ins and outs of that area, of that complex, of all the models, so you show up the leasing agent. If you can, that's how the client, the tenant that you're working with will stay loyal to you, right? So once you do that, you're going to basically just sit back and relax, because guess who does the application? Guess who collects the deposit? Guess who does the lease agreement? Guess who does the final walkthrough? It ain't you. Nope. It ain't you. It ain't me. It's the leasing office, right? That's who does it. That's why I said it's the easiest money ever. You're not even doing any paperwork. The only catch to this, you have to wait 30 days until the tenant moves in, then they'll pay you. That's the only catch. I figured out some workarounds around that. I get paid a lot quicker, and I've actually negotiated my rental fees up, on that. So I do get a little bit more referral fees from the apartment complexes, and I get exclusives. There's a lot of advanced ways to do this, but you could easily generate 50 leads a day from this. Not a problem at all. 100 leads a day from this, if done correctly, not a problem at all, right? If you're getting 100 leads from the MLS strategy, 100 leads from the apartment complex, boom, 200 leads a day, just like that. That's 6,000 leads a month. Nobody understands in real estate, you need leads coming in every single day. And no, your network and sphere of influence does not count. That's subsidiary, meaning that's something you have to do no matter what. A sphere of influence is not a business. Unless you've been doing this for 20 years and you have a monstrous network built up, you're still doing yourself a disservice because you need fresh new leads every single day that don't know you. If you don't have that, you will never scale. It's impossible to scale just based off of your network. You might maintain and do decent, but you're never going to scale. You're not going to go from 80,000 to 250,000 to 500,000 to $1 million to $2 million a year. That will never happen unless you're generating fresh leads every single day, right? So I just showed you 2 methods on how to generate fresh leads daily. Yes, they are rentals. I understand that, but you could literally do 5 rentals in the same time it takes you to do 1 house sale. And guess what happens if you lose that house sale? You are in deep, right? Imagine you were just relying on that 1 house sale for that month or 2 months or 3 months, and all of a sudden your $15,000 commission check just got ripped out of your hands because the roof caved in 2 days before the final walkthrough. Yes, that actually happened to me. And even though it's the seller's fault, in my situation, the seller refused to pay for it and said, I don't care. And he said, sue me. I don't care. Not my problem anymore. I don't care. Even though it was his problem, guess what? Still lost the sale. And guess what didn't happen? Nobody got sued. So I lost that money. And it was a miserable experience for the buyer. He never wanted to work with me ever again because he was just traumatized. And guess what? He went back to renting. It was just an overall terrible experience when I was a newer agent. I've learned to kind of solve these things, nowadays, but these are going to happen constantly. So if you're working with, 10 renters and you have 10 closings coming up and a month's rent is held in escrow already and your commission's basically guaranteed at that point, even if the offset chance that something goes wrong, which almost nothing goes wrong for a rental compared to a sale, literally, there's just nothing that will happen. If you lose 1, you still have 9 more left. So big deal. Maybe you're making $1,000 commission per deal. You have $9,000 that month instead of $10,000. That's a lot better than getting $0, right? A lot better. And guess what? You're also going to get a buyer out of it. And if you lose that buyer, who cares? Because you're still making $9,000 that month. And if you get that buyer, phenomenal. You just made an extra $15,000 or $10,000, whatever it is. That's why this is so powerful. It literally checks all the boxes off. Building a big network, check. Making a lot of fast cash, check. Building a database that is sustainable over a long-term career, check. Getting buyers out of it, check. Getting sellers out of it, check. Because I'm about to go into that right now. Think about this from a logistical standpoint. If people are calling for sale by owners, right? That means FSBOs, and they're trying to pitch them on using them, that agent, to sell their house instead of having the seller sell it on their own. Who is calling the FRBOs? Because yes, FRBOs do exist. FRBO is a fancy way of saying for rent by owner. If you talk to a for rent by owner, they are not getting 75 phone calls a day. I promise you. Go and try it. Go on, RedX or whatever, and get a FSBO list and call some of the FSBOs at 4:00 in the afternoon. And ask them. Just the first question you ask them is, how many calls did you get today? They're going to say 50, 60. That's what they're going to say. That's why it doesn't work. And obviously nobody wants to sell their home right now because they're getting lowballed and the buyers are not there anymore. So just those 2 aspects alone are that strategy's out of the window. But if you call FRBOs, for rent by owners, nobody's calling them because everybody thinks they're too good to get a $3,000 rental commission. Because remember, you're going to get a full month's rent commission from this and you're going to double end it. Especially the way I teach it, you double end that deal every single time. It's very, very easy to do it. So if it's a $3,000, 4-bedroom, 2-bath, single family home, you will make $4,000, right? That's not even including transaction fees at that point. Think about it from a perspective of what's going to happen when you get that rental listing. Okay, not only are you going to make $4,000, but you're also going to syndicate it on your MLS. That's going to blast it out everywhere. Then you're also going to do my MLS strategy with it. This way, you're going to get extra leads coming in every day from that listing. So if you stack up 10 rental listings in a month, you're going to get an abundance of leads just from that. And then you're also going to be doing my MLS strategy and my apartment strategy, you could literally have 300 leads coming in a day. Not even joking. If you do all three of those rental lead generation systems, right? MLS tenant leads, apartment complex leads, and landlord leads to get your own rental listings, you could have 300 leads coming in daily. You could build a massive team of 50 agents with that. Like, come on. Like, or you could handle it by yourself, right? Like, that's the whole beauty behind this. And that's why I became a millionaire in real estate in a few years, right? I became the number 2 agent in the world off working with renters. Who thought that was possible? Nobody did. I thought that was possible because nobody was doing it. There is no competition. None of your fellow agents are doing this, right? Let me take Florida, for example. We have like 200,000 agents in Florida, licensed in Florida, right? Maybe 50 agents are doing this out of 200,000. 50 out of 200,000. The other 195,000 and whatever, they're all working with the buyers and sellers. The competition is fierce. Everybody's just fighting over these little scraps, right? Because think about it, right? There's a 10-to-1 ratio, and there's only 4 million house sales. So and there's just in the whole country alone, there's 1.5 million agents. There's only enough deals to go around for like 2 or 3. That's it. 2 or 3 deals per agent. That's it. You're fighting over scraps. Nobody can survive off of 20, 30 grand a year. I'm telling you right now, that's why we have a 90% failure rate in real estate, especially now in 2025 during this housing market. This solves that. And if you think you're too good to help families out, right, and make a lot of money with renters right now, turn some into buyers, and then make a massive payday in a couple years from now by just being a little patient, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. Then stick to working with the buyers and sellers, stick to struggling, stick to worrying about how you're going to pay your rent. And when you go to the grocery store, having a penny pinch, oh, I can't buy this loaf of bread because it's too expensive. I don't have that problem anymore. The 400 agents I've taught, they don't have that problem anymore. Do you want to have that problem? I don't think you do. So get smart with real estate. Logically think about every single strategy on how to generate leads. What makes the most sense in 2025? Is it sitting open houses when you're going to have 3 people show up if you're lucky? Nope. Is it calling for sale by owners when it's nobody's out there to buy a home and they get 80 calls a day? Nope. Is it door knocking when you look like a crazy person unless you look like Brad Pitt or Angelina Jolie, and who wants to even sell their house in this market anyway? Nope. It's not that. Is it mailers that takes 9 months to even be effective in a good market? Nope. So what is it? It's clearly rentals, right? Do the homework on your own. But I'm telling you right now, any single agent that does this will change your life. And it's not lag. You don't have to wait. It is immediate. I'm telling you this right now. I'm being hand to God, right? My average agent that I teach closes their first deal. Under contract. Gets their first deal under contract in 7 days. The average, 7 days from learning how to do this and starting this, 7 days deal under contract. No, they're not making 12 grand or whatever. They're making $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, right? Guess what though? I've made $10,000 on a rental before. Right off of Facebook Marketplace, I got a client. It was a $6,000 rental for my very first one, right? Made three grand on that. And then a year later, he rented a $20,000 rental. I got half a month's rent commission. I made $10,000 in one deal for like 2 hours of work. Easiest money to this day that I've ever made, right? And then 1 year after that, he bought a house with me. Guess what kind of house he bought, right? I'm going to give you a second to think about that. If you got a $20,000 rental, what kind of house do you think he got? $3.4 million. I got a $3.4 million house sale off of Facebook Marketplace. And guess what? It was $85,000 in commission. Totaled up with the rentals plus the house sale, I made damn near $100,000 in a few years, plus referrals from him, right? I got a bunch of extra buyers just from him, from referrals, right? And then who knows? He's going to have me sell his house. Renters turn into buyers, and buyers turn into sellers. I just sold a house for one of my buyers that I got. Literally, one of my first clients, because, it takes about like 5, 6, 7 years to do the whole cycle, like renter, buyer, seller. And I've been doing this 5 years. And one of my very first clients, they rented with me, then they bought with me. It was, maybe like $400,000 or $500,000 house. So maybe I only made like $15,000 in that deal. And then they just sold the house with me. I made another 15 grand on it, right? Again, that's like $32,000 that I made off of one client plus referrals. Like, come on, like this is a no-brainer. Everybody should be doing this, but we're fortunate that everybody's not doing it. So whoever's watching this right now, and hopefully you're taking notes, or you rewatch this, you're going to be way ahead of the game because nobody else is doing this. Nobody else is understanding the benefits and possibilities that you can get by working with renters and turning renters into buyers and then buyers into sellers, right? So now, I went over my 3 strategies, right? MLS strategy on how to get rental leads, apartment complex strategy on how to get apartment tenants. It's called apartment locating, and then landlord leads. There is a few different methods on how to actually work with landlords, Obviously, you could also do like expired and withdrawals and cancels. I'm not going to really go into that right now. I don't want to overwhelm and confuse anybody. Obviously, I do teach this, to my agents. But I'll tell you this right now, right? Those are 3 methods on how to make money on rentals, and lots of money. We're talking hundreds of K, per year. But there's also 2 methods on how to turn renters into buyers. We briefly talked about it. Renters into buyers. Active is one, and then closed is 2, right? So meaning it kind of works with the market, how the market's going. So right now, 4 million buyers, 45 million renters, 10-to-1 ratio. That's how it works. If you get 10 renters under contract, you will turn one of them into a buyer today, right? So 10-to-1 ratio, right? That's active. That's right now. Then, and obviously you have to be intentional. You have to know what you're doing. Otherwise you're going to scare them off. Don't do that. But then you're going to turn 30% of your closed renters into buyers in the future, right? With my whole 369 system. That's what we talked about before. Those are the 5 methods on how to make money with rentals. And that's big money. That's millions of dollars. Like I said, $2.5 million in a few years in real estate, brand new state, brand new career, didn't know what the heck I was doing, and working tenants, working leases. What? Who does that? Nobody does that because nobody's thought about it before, but that's why it's effective. It's like getting into Bitcoin 15 years ago. You know what I mean? Like investing Google, in 2002, you would have made a fortune. Same thing for this rental system. When agents figure this out and catch on and wise up, they're like, wow, I can make 200 grand a year this year and then $1 million in 2 years from now. Ain't gonna be this easy anymore. I'll tell you that right now. It'll become a much different ball game once there gets a little bit of competition. It's not like that right now though. So I would tell every agent to take advantage of this. So what I'm gonna say is if anybody wants to, really learn this from me, I'm going to drop a link in the description to my program. It's Rich with Rentals. You don't have to do it if you don't want to. It'll save you 5 years of your life. I'm not joking. It will literally save you 5 years of your life of trial and error if you can ever figure this out on your own, because there's hundreds of things that you need to master in order to make 50 grand a month or even close 5 to 10 deals a month. You have to master a lot of stuff. There's a lot that goes into it. It's not as easy as just posting on Facebook Marketplace. Otherwise, everybody would be making 40 grand every 30 days. And I got multiple agents that have done it. Multiple agents that have made over $40,000 a month. And they're brand spanking new. They haven't been doing this for a long time. I just had an agent that I taught that was doing this for 20 years. And not just doing real estate. She was doing rentals for 20 years. And she was very skeptical when we got on the phone and talked. And she was like, I don't think you're going to be able to teach me anything. I'm like, listen, I know you've been doing this for 15 years longer than me. Granted, I've closed about twice as many deals as her in a quarter of the time. But I said, just give it a shot, right? Because I do 100%, refund policy. Worst case scenario, you get your money back, call it a day, right? And the very first class that she took, she went through a training program, and then she came to my Wednesday coaching call, and she was like, oh my God, I had no idea you could do this, or I had no idea I was supposed to be doing that. She had no earthly clue, and she'd been doing this for 20 years, working with renters. So I'm just saying, if you think you know it all, you don't. I don't even know it all. I'm still learning. That's why I still do real estate to this day. I don't close that many deals anymore. I maybe close 5, 6 deals a month right now. I don't close many because I have a team of agents now, but I still do it just so I can stay sharp and I can still learn, right? Like maybe I've closed 900 deals, but what happens when I close 2,000 deals? I'm going to know even more, right? That's the kind of person I am. I always want to be learning. I always want to be growing, and hopefully you do too. So to sum everything up, right, we really just talked about how to make $100,000 a year, minimum, right? And then a lot more, $1 million a year in the future, but not far off. And if you're with EXP Realty, you can icon off of it. You can icon off of this every single year. I've done it 4 years in a row, right? My last 4 years, I've hit icon. I think it was 2 months was my record, and I'm about to do it for my 5th time, okay? I'm about to icon, and I'm barely even trying. I spend 1 or 2 hours a week on real estate. No joke. I barely spend any time on real estate. I think last month, I made 35 grand off of real estate by working like 3 hours a week, right? I mean, obviously I've mastered this, so I don't expect anybody else to do that until you become an expert as well. But you could at least start making 10K a month. That's child's play. It's child's play. That's like 5 to 10 rentals, and then if you get one buyer, you double that, it goes from 10 grand to 20 grand. Just like that. And then in the future, you're going to make a fortune off of this. I challenge anybody again. I challenge anybody. If anybody has a better strategy, why don't you let me know the better strategy? And I'll tell you this, if it's legit, if it's a better strategy, I will give you my next commission check. I will give you my next commission check if it's a better strategy. Like truthfully, because I would love to hear it, because I'm a very logical person. I'm very OCD, and I've thought this through for years. If there was something better, I would be doing it. Trust me, I would be doing it if it was better. It's not luxury properties. I had an agent that was working with me from the very beginning. I had 2 agents. I want to tell you a quick little story before I wrap it up. I had 2 agents that were working with me. One agent, his name is Louis Dorta. I'm not going to name the other agent because I'm about to talk shit about him. But the first agent, Louis, he stuck with it. He did exactly what I told him. I said, Louis, don't get greedy. I said, stick to the plan. I'm like, start closing 5 deals a month, and then 10, and then 15, and then 20. Start turning renters into buyers. I'm like, just do that for the next year straight. I'm like, humor me and see what happens. He did it. He made $250,000 in his first year. I'm going to repeat that one more time. He made $250,000 in a brand new career. He just got his real estate license. He did join EXP Realty, so he's with us today. He's capped already. He's iconed already. And guess what? He followed my exact advice. He was the first student that I ever taught. The second student that was right there along with him, this was before, back in the day when I would actually do in-person trainings. They're down here in Florida with me. He was doing well. He was on track to make that kind of money in his first year. I think when he stopped doing this, he was up to it was like $100,000 or something like that. And then guess what happened? Somebody got in his ear. I don't know what happened, but he ended up joining what's that luxury brokerage? I can't remember, like Volkers and something or whatever the hell the luxury brokerage is. And somebody got in his ear, and we're like, you did well, for your first year. They saw his MLS stats, and they saw he was closing a lot of deals, and they poached him, okay? And they said you could be making a lot more if you just focus on luxury listings and getting luxury buyers, right? Guess what? That was I think it was like 6 months ago or 7 months ago when he stopped and switched over to this. And I told him, I said, dude, I'm not going to name him because I'm about to talk a lot of shit. I'm like, dude, bad idea. I'm like, don't do it. Don't do it. I'm like, first of all, the market's changing. We're not in a buyer or seller market anymore. Like, even in a good market, this would be a bad idea. But right now, it's a terrible idea. And guess what? It takes at least a year to build any kind of momentum when you're changing to luxury listings. You have to be connected. You have to be connected to rich and famous people. You need to know people to work luxury listings. And he did not. He's from New York. He didn't even know anybody down here, right? That's why the rentals were working so well for him, because he built a massive database almost immediately, right? And think about it. What happened? What happened over 6 or 7 months when I told him not to do this? 0 deals. He closed 0 luxury deals. Not a single goddarn one, right? Nothing. In 6 or 7 months, he's made $0. He went from making 20 grand a month to making 0 because he got greedy. He was like, oh, I can close the $3.4 million house too, and I can make $85,000. That's way better than closing 20 deals a month and making a guaranteed $50,000. That's way better. All I have to do is close 1 deal. Guess what? He's closed none of those deals. And even if he gets lucky in the next 6 months and closes 1 of those deals, instead of making 250 grand just like Louis did, he'll only have made about 160,000 6 months later. It would have taken him extra 6 months to make that. It doesn't even mathematically make sense, right? If you want to eventually switch to that when you have money in the bank, you got a lot of credibility built up, sure, go ahead. When you can go a year or 2 years without making $1 and just draw off your savings, right? That's fine. But not as a brand new agent. That's madness and ludicrous, right? It made a big mistake, and I just wanted to tell that story so other people don't make that kind of mistake. Don't get fooled. Don't get tricked by these big flashy numbers. Yes, it is awesome closing a big deal. Like I said, I've done it. I made $85,000 in 1 deal. It was a cool feeling. It really was. But guess what was a cooler feeling? Making $2.5 million in a few years by working with renters. That trumps all of that. I feel so proud of myself and accomplished. I don't feel that accomplished by doing a big deal. I don't. Like, it was cool making that kind of money. It's like, yeah, that's a one-off. That's fine. That's nice. You know what I mean? But I didn't feel the same kind of accomplishment. I really did not. I feel proud of myself that I was able to help 900 families get into homes. My very first deal, this is what got me hooked on rentals in the first place. I helped this Spanish family, a husband and wife and 3 children. They didn't even speak that much English. They had piss poor credit. We're talking 500s. Income wasn't great. I ended up showing them like 15 properties, right? This is when I was brand new. I didn't know what that guy was doing. I was still creating this system. I don't do that nowadays, right? But I eventually got them a property rented. I made like $800, and that was a great feeling because at the final walkthrough, when I got my commission check, I was like holding this in one hand, and then I had the wife like grabbing me and like kissing me on the cheek, and the husband like crying, and the kids jumping around. Mommy and Daddy, we finally have a home. That was a cool feeling. That's what you do this for. It's not just about the money, it's about being fulfilled. And I'm telling you right now, if you listen to my advice and you start helping families out, you're gonna get that feeling. And the consequence of that is making a lot of money, cashing a lot of commission checks, iconing every year, being at 100% commission, maybe building a team if you want, maybe building a big brand. The sky's the limit. Okay, so I just went over my entire rental system of how I went from $0 to multiple millions in a few years in a pandemic, in a buyer's market, in a seller's market, and now in a renter's market where it works better than ever. The worse the economy gets, the better this will get. Think about that from a perspective of if people aren't buying and selling, then what are they doing? They're renting, right? So anybody can do this right now in any single market. If you want help from me, I'm going to drop the link in the description below, richardrentals.com. You can book a call with me. You can sign up, whatever you want to do. You can try it on your own, right? And just make sure that it's working and you get some leads coming in, even though you're probably not going to know much of what to do with them. It's okay because you might close 1 or 2 deals. I had this agent, Sam Joseph. He postponed it for 1 year. He saw my YouTube videos and he was like, oh, look, this is really cool. Makes sense. You know, and he tried it out and he was getting results. He was getting leads. He was closing deals. Just not that many, right? He was maybe closing like 1 to 3 deals a month. And he was like, how the heck am I going to close 20 deals a month, right? I'm like, well, dude, Michael Jordan didn't become the best basketball player of all time in a year, right? He worked 16 hours a day nonstop and he had Phil Jackson coaching him, right? Literally, he had the best mind in basketball of all time. Am I saying I'm the best mind in real estate? No. Am I saying I'm the best mind in rentals? Yes, I am. I'm the Phil Jackson of rentals, and I'm the Michael Jordan of rentals. I've done more than any single human being in the calendar year, right? I've set a Guinness Book of World Records for it, and I'm in the process of applying to it. I'll tell you this right now. If you want to learn from me, awesome. I would love to help anybody that wants to learn and wants to save 5 years of your life, right? And buy your time back, right? It's not just knowledge and wisdom, buying time. I hope you guys got a lot of value out of this. If you did, hit that like button and share this with a realtor that's struggling right now that you think could really use a helping hand. But if you like this video, don't forget to watch this one up above.